And, we are talking about freedom in a digital age. There is no way mechanistic computer learning can replace the complexity, not just of our brains, but the complexity in the root of a tree, the complexity in my gut, which is the second brain. There are so many pathways, and they are not just computational. That's the point.
One of the things that you've spoken about a lot is about monocultures, not only monocultures of food, but also monocultures of the mind. And when it comes to supporting the flourishing of life, protecting biodiversity in the face of encroaching corporate interests, climatic disruption, and biotechnology, what do you see as the biggest challenges that we're facing with the monoculture of the mind as well as monoculture of food, and how can we overcome them?
By reclaiming and cultivating the biodiversity of the mind and the biodiversity of food. I wrote Monocultures of the Mind because I worked in the forest question with my sisters of the Chipko movement, who were fighting to defend the natural forests and their biodiversity against clear felling as well as monocultures in the mountains of pine. And then I worked with communities who were fighting eucalyptus monocultures. And here was a rainforest rich in diversity. And the experts would always say, it's unproductive. And they'd see a eucalyptus monocultures with these linear trees, which are useless for the water system, for the soil fertility, except for pulp. It's just raw material. I said, what is it that blocks their seeing? Same for the Green Revolution monocultures of rice and wheat. Oh, we increased yield, we feed the world. We grow Navdanya, the movement I started means 9 crops, they're growing together, and it's a tribal whose field, I saw it, and he then explained to me how the diversity of the planets, the diversity of the plants in the field, and the diversity of the food we need for healthy living are one continuum of harmony. And he said, I have to grow diversity because I have to maintain this harmony, all the way to maintaining cosmic harmony and the specific harmony of health for his little children. So it's this blind spot. The monoculture of the mind is so, it has such a shrunken vision because it's only looking from the market at commodities that can be extracted. So it doesn't see life, it doesn't see cycles, it doesn't see diversity. And for it, diversity is useless because it's not serving the market. In fact, it's an interference, because if you have 200 species and there's only one commercial tree, you see the diversity as an interference, as they used to say, or the rest is clearly weeds. So the monoculture of the mind and then monocultures on the land reinforce each other. You have monoculture of the mind, you make sure there's only 4 commodities growing, you forget the 10,000 species we used to eat. You then make it's not just corn, then it's exactly the same corn. I couldn't believe in my valley the other day I saw in the last monsoon rain, one farmer must have got hybrid seeds from Monsanto, and the plants were 2-dimensional, not 3-dimensional. The leaves didn't go in all direction because these seeds are bred for mechanical harvesting. So you want the tractor to move between the lines. So the trees on the leaves only go one way. And then the cob, on our indigenous corn, the cob merrily chooses exactly where it'll grow. But in these industrial seeds, all the cob is exactly at the same time for the harvester to find it easy to harvest. So the monoculture then reduces not just the diversity of crops and plants, it reduces the variability and multifunctionality of the plant itself. It becomes more and more linear. I will never forget, we launched a campaign on poison-free food and farming. And a mayor of a little village in the Alps joined this campaign. He came down to India to join that campaign. And he said, you must come and visit, because a book had been written on this village. So the next time I was in Italy, it's in South Tyrol, I actually went to this area. This village had fought against the monoculture of apple. But there was no apple trees. There were apples, but no trees. The tree had disappeared. You know, a tree has a trunk, and then it has branches. These were just branches with little shallow roots. And of course, a branch won't stand, so it was being upheld by aluminum and concrete support systems. So it looked more like a funeral, you know, more like a cemetery than an orchard. And then because it was so sick, it had to be sprayed 40, 50, 60 times each season. And the children were getting sick and the cows were getting sick. And this villager said, we will not have pesticides, we will not have these apples. So here is it, a tree disappears because all that the monoculture of the mind can see is apple for the market. And the way to resist the monoculture of the mind is live in and through diversity. And never, you know, we have brains that are multifunctional. We have the right brain and the left brain. And you know, we are talking about freedom in a digital age. There is no way mechanistic computer learning can replace the complexity, not just of our brains, but the complexity in the root of a tree, the complexity in my gut, which is the second brain. There are so many pathways, and they are not just computational. That's the point, you know. They're pathways of love, they're pathways of care, they're pathways of energy, they're pathways of nutrition, they're pathways of water flow. There is just no way all of that intelligence on the universe. You know, first of all, 99.9% is not downloadable into the machine. You know, so all that can happen is a few function of the analytic part of our brain. The machine can be taught. That's it. And that's why our freedom then is the diversity of the mind, the multifunctionality of our lives, and co-creating with the diversity of the world and turning that into our strength.